What's up, guys? Pittsburgh White Schwartz back again. I'm joined today by Brian,
Hello, hello, I'm here.
back from vacation.
That's me.
So today we're going to go over, now that Heaven's Feel is out, Heaven's Feel Volume 2, we are going to go over sort of our idea of where to start with Barred Door with the new Sakura top end. Probably going to look pretty similar to old Fate builds. You are still going to need Avenger. You're going to need some Heaven's Feel set 1 cards. So I guess just jumping right to the deck list. As you can see, like 4 Avengers, 4 Ilias. I use the new art here just to show that there is a reprint. But it's still a lot of old cards. Both Brian and I have played quite a bit of Fate. So hopefully we can give some insight here.
Yeah, I think we're the only ones in Pittsburgh that own the deck, actually. So
Yeah, it was always a bit too expensive. I lucked into it by pools, and you got a good deal. And that was kind of how it went. But yeah, we'll jump right into the cards real quick. A lot of these are the standard Fate fare. Here's the 2 most important cards of the deck, probably. 2 of the 3 most important cards of the deck. Shiro Avenger gives all your other master characters Clock on Core. Absolutely insane card. The implications of this cards are absolutely nuts. Gives you a lot of theoretical insane compression going into your next deck because you can lock yourself up, so it's just free cards out of your next deck while also giving you a plus. Also turns all your masters at level 0 into plussing zeros while also pushing you towards level 1. Interaction with this card that not a lot of people realize is you can never get level locked as Fate, because if you want to go to the next level, you can play over another master with another master and Clock on Core yourself infinitely until you hit the next level. So basically, probably the most important card.
Yeah, cards broken.
Another broken card, the Silver Thread Ilia. This card is reprinted. This is the new art, so you can pick this up for cheap now in the new Heaven's Feel Volume 2 booster. It is an on-play Azusa. You discard any card from your hand on play, and then look at up to 4, so modular deck speed, and choose a master character. Because of that, and because of the way these 2 cards work, our deck is going to be primarily master, so keep that in mind moving forward as we look at non-master cards. They got to be pretty strong for us to consider putting them in, because they don't work with either of these, which we're going to be using pretty much every turn. Well, Avenger in the early game, but then Ilia all throughout the game. Moving into other level 0s, the Sakura Brainstorm. Because we're playing Bar at level 1, we need to have a lot of extra green in the deck because we're cutting a lot of it out. So to do that with Sakura Brainstorm instead of the new Rin Brainstorm, also a level 0, also a Master, so it works with our Avenger. If we only open Avenger in this card, it makes our Brainstorm a plussing 0. Pretty cool. Sort of in the same idea of that Green Splash, we're opting for the Sakura Clock Bomb instead of the Shiro Clock Bomb, mostly because green is like pretty cringe counts. If you still decide to play the Shiro, even at a lower count, you end up with only like 12 green, which hitting a level 1 combo, that's like kind of rough. So opted for this one. This one also has on attack check 2. Choose your trigger, which can be pretty good in the early game. If you don't have the bar yet, it digs you yet another card closer to the bar in addition to your attacks. Your Fate, so you're probably try-fielding early anyway because you just Clock on Core yourself. So,
Yeah, shame it worked out that way. The Shiro Bomb is super good, just goes to memory for free, gives you that little bit of extra compression, which is always nice in a deck like this that
just banks on canceling.
Yeah, wants to loop free fresh and relies on canceling pretty heavily. Yeah.
If you want to chance it and play the lower green count, you're going to probably have to level important green cards to pull it off. But if you want to mess with it, you can still run the Shiro on the slot. It's not that big of a deal. I just don't prefer to play that way. Be a little bit safer. Last level 0s here. These are notably not masters. We have 2 of the Salter Drop Search because she is red. She's at 3,500 if you have your less stock, and she's Drop Search for any master or servant. So any card in the deck gives us a little bit of extra selection throughout the game, and also a little bit of extra red fix, even though we're not playing red at level 2. Because of the way Door works, we want to have good pickups no matter what, and this is a great level 0 to pick up no matter what happens. It's the only card that you're out if you opened it. If you open it, there's a good chance it lives anyway, because it's a 3,500, so it's an okay plussing 0. This other card is a little weird. You don't see this too often in 8-bar builds, but this is the early play condition Berserker for the Ilia. He cannot untap unless you have an Ilia on board. That is less of an issue than you think, because you're playing 4 Azusas, and Azusa is always good to slam down because she's the master in the early game. So this card can untap more often than not. If you open like Azusa and this card in your opening hand and no Avenger, you can slam this down, attack in the front row, and have your Ilia in the back row for the next turn. Hopefully getting you into an Avenger on your next draw. which can be an okay play. But it's mainly here to enable our Ilya as an early play. This card is usually just played as a healer, but because we're playing the door in this deck and picking up this card when we trigger a door is sort of like a non-issue, we can actually play into the Ilya as an early play, which has been pretty sick in my testing so far. So,
yeah, even in 8-bar, I was running this Berserker a little bit, and being able to heal at level 2 with Fate, which again is a deck that just wants to compress and scum cancels as often as possible, felt really, really strong.
Yeah, the fact that it gives you any amount of stabilization in the games where you eat a bit too much damage, which was always like the bad part of Fate, right? If you eat a big chunk too early, you can struggle to recover because the deck does rely on looping free fresh and stuff for advantage in the mid game. So yeah, it's a very nice to have card, and since we have the door, it makes it even easier to play. We don't have to play a lot of it, we can just play 2. Moving into our level 1, we are still playing the Sakura Storytime combo, which is just an on-reverse search. We have a Shiro on board. She's a 55 all the time. Pretty decent combo considering that we can basically always go to levels 1 first, so we won't have any trouble finding reverses a lot of the time, unless our opponent gimps their own attacks and stock generation to do so. We're playing it because it's a bar. We're playing it because it's a bar level 1, and it works with the rest of the other green card. Because more importantly in green, we have the Sakura Clock Bomb. It's fallen off a little bit now because more people are playing Standby, but the card is absolutely ridiculous when played in this deck. You can filter any climax out of your hand for selective salvage. Even with only 4 bars, that's still good. Not as good as with 8 bars, which is why we're running 3 instead of 4. And then if your opponent manages to clear these, or you do something stupid like bomb out your opponent's cheeses or whatever, and they're still at level 1, you can clock encore this card because it is also a master, like our level 1 combo, and your opponent has to deal with it again. Probably one of the most frustrating things playing into Fate. If you've played into Fate a lot, you've definitely experienced it, and that's kind of where it begins and ends. Other cards at level 1, we are still running the Illusion Magic. Notably, we are not running the Stock Swap. It's a little bit too greedy to consider having 3 or more green characters on board, even with the extra green splash. So unfortunately, we could not run that, but the Illusion Magic is still a great way to punish our opponent for, triggering climaxes, being a bad player, and unfortunately triggering multiple climaxes and having a bad deck state in the middle of the game, saving our skin when we are out too many climaxes way too early. Because we're running a lot more blue, we can more feasibly play this if we open it or something like that. It's not a bad card to hold if things do go sour. Just all the reasons why a mutual free fresh would be good and why we'd want to play it, we can still get it. And we're still playing the bar assist with the Sakura Brainstorm, so if this card does end up in clock and we trigger a bar, we can grab it, which is just a little bit more event access than deck typically would, so we can get away with a 2 count. Nice lean event count.
Yep.
Other card, because people are playing Standby, we're running one of the Rider, Adachi. She is unfortunately a servant, so we'll have to pick it up off door or pick it up off a Brainstorm. Or we can drop search it with our Salter, but in the matchups we need it, the card can do a lot of work. So, on there. If that card was a master, that would be insane, actually. To be able to clock on for it.
Adachi,
yeah,
pretty dumb.
There's a reason the card's not a master. There might be another Adachi that's a master, but I'm not exactly too sure. This one's in our colors, also helps us shore up our green count, and we're in green.
Maybe it'd have to be from Heaven's Feel 1, and I'm not as familiar with those cards, so...
Yeah. Moving into our level 2, 3 of the Rin Archer Free Fresh, only 3 because we are running door. We don't have to rely on leveling this card as our primary red. So we can cut down the count to 3 because we still want to have it every single game. We want to naturally draw it. Extra copies that we draw are always good. The card is pretty much always relevant because of the Ilya Azusa. So yeah, it kind of begins and ends there. And then we have this new card, this 2/1 Ilya, Self-Deprecating Smile. All of your other Master of Servant characters in front of this get 1500 power, so it gives, basically level assist max to anything in front of it, which is pretty cool. And then we can tap her to put a card from our hand into our stock. So not as good as the Sakura level 3, because that's just an alpaca. But this comes online a level earlier, makes our Ilya early plays really big, and helps us convert extra hand if we know we're going to trigger bars, we know we're going to trigger doors. We can turn our extra hand when we would otherwise be overhand into stock, which is always good because the way this deck plays, now that you're playing the Dark Sakura top end, you are just looking to try to delete your opponent at level 3. You are not trying to stall out the game anymore. You are trying to end it. as quickly and efficiently as possible. So these hand-to-stock effects can be really good in those games where, like, oh, like maybe I didn't get enough attacks in, maybe I had to heal, maybe I had to do something like that. This card can kind of get you there since Sakura is so cheap. Other level 2 plays, we are still running the Rider that can kill pretty much anything. She'll attack into 13. Just, and if the Ilia support down 14-5. It clears pretty much anything at level 2 and then refunds her own stock, so a nice efficient way to clear things. And then 4 of the Ilia early play. Normally when you see these kind of cards, they are run at a 3 count, but that is mostly due to their condition, because these are usually 4 or more early plays. However, this one is a clock condition early play, and it heals from the bottom of your clock. There's a reason that card heals from the bottom of your clock, so that your Berserker condition can stay on top, which is pretty nice. You might think it's a little awkward that we're like green, red, blue at level 2, but you have to remember, if you're going to play the Ilia at level 2, you must clock the Berserker. So, you kind of can Love Live Sunshine it a little bit, where you're going to clock red, right? So, not too much of an issue.
Yeah, you'll have your blue, you play it from hand, yep.
Yep, but yeah, very efficient, big, early play. You're just going to play down as many one-stock killers as you can until Dark Sakura is ready to go for the game. And here's Dark Sakura, a brand new card in Heaven's Feel Volume 2. It combos off this door. On play, draw 2, ditch 1, so it aggressively digs into either additional copies of itself or its own climax. And then when you attack with the door in your climax zone, you stock the top 3 cards of your deck blind. And then she has an inherent ability to pay 3, ditch a card, Icy Tail 6 from the bottom of your opponent's deck. The number of climaxes you hit, you burn that amount. So that's a lot of cards to move through. If you triple this, you're moving through 18 cards plus your attacks, which are basal 3. You go, 18 plus 9, it's like 27 cards. You're probably refresh pointing your opponent maybe once, maybe twice, depending on, how compressed they may or may not be. The more compressed your opponent is, the scarier this can be, especially if your opponent tries to do something like leaving their deck in very small but hyper-compressed deck states. This card eats them alive. Can be really, really explosive. And it's still just a lot of cards. I know there's like a meme where it's like, how many cards does Icy Tail have to be good? But, for this cheap, for this many cards, I think it's a totally fine finisher. And since you can't... Yeah,
basically free Icy Tail. You can't really go wrong. I mean, the downside is if you are compressed and banking on canceling going back into your next turn, sometimes Sakura putting the top 3 cards of your deck into your stock to pay for this effect can botch you up a little bit, but like Carmen said, you're just gunning it.
Yeah, you're not playing the stall anymore, because unfortunately, with the way the meta is right now, you cannot bank on Rider working almost ever. Data Life can blink it, other sets can blink it. Data Life can also level it down. People always find a way around those kind of effects, even just like pumping Soul and something like Slime and then siding over it. Can be pretty frustrating. So the fact that the meta has shifted to a point where Rider just really isn't as effective as she was, and of course she's not hexproof, so she's always been susceptible to bounce as well, which every set has. So this sort of gives you a turbo option when you're ready to go for game. And because the Ilias are one-stock healers, you can recycle the card a lot more at a 4 count than you'd think. So you're not really hurting for heals as much as you would expect, because you can think going from normal Fate that would run somewhere between 5 to 6 healers, we're now going down to 4. But you have to remember, we can now start doing this at level 2, and we have more time to actually recycle these back and play them again if we want. So we're not hurting for heals as much as you'd think. So looking at the list one more time, you can see our level 3 lineup is actually extremely lean. And that's because, again, your top end is a lot more directed now. You're basically just waiting to try to kill your opponent with Dark Sakura. Kind of the unfortunate state Fate is in right now because of the board-based meta. This is sort of what we have to do. But the deck is still incredibly strong. Avenger is an absolutely broken card. Ilia Azusa combined with the Free Fresh is still one of the most broken things in White Schwartz. So, use that while you can. I don't think we're ever going to get a ban list in English at this rate.
I doubt it, yeah.
But if you want to play Fate, those are the reasons why. You want to play Avenger, you want to play Ilia Free Fresh. And this is probably one of the best ways to do it.
Deck's got pretty good deck manipulation into that Free Fresh. Free Fresh is stupid, draws you a card. It still does all the things 8-bar does, just with the ability to kill your opponent at level 3.
Yeah, you lose out on the filtering ability of 8-bar, but the filtering ability of 8-bar also has chances to, like, screw you, which, you know, anyone who's played the deck for any amount of time will tell you, that the deck can sort of, like, implode, like, trigger a bar after you free fresh, blind stock a bar, filter, put another bar in clock, trigger another bar, grab the bar you just grabbed out of clock, clock another bar, then you're out 7. You know, just 8-bar fate thing.
It's assuming you're a bad player and actually blind stock bars.
Yeah, we can't all be godlike players like Brian. Never blind stocks a bar. But yeah, if you really wanted to get greedy with it, I think this shell could maybe support the stock swap if you wanted to get absolutely crazy with it. But you'd be making cuts at other points, like you'd be playing one Ilya back row. You'd, like, you know, maybe play like a one of Illusion Magic or something crazy. You probably wouldn't play a Dachi. You'd play a leaner level 0. There are things you can do, but we tried to strike a balance here. This is more of a shell, more of a jump off point for people to sort of dig into how they're going to play Fate with the new set. But you do have good options. The Dark Sakura, in my practice and testing with it, has been a lot more effective than you might think. I think it's a card you need to sleeve up and sort of play into people a lot, and you'll sort of see how strong the card really can be. I think it's a really, like, decent top end for Fate to go out in. So trigger being the best part, you're just adding a door. So, but yeah, I think that's about it in terms of upcoming content for the channel. We are still working on all our set reviews. I know we have to do the new Bank Dream one. We have to do Morphonica Ras. Now that you guys are back, we have Data Bullet, which we need to do, which we need to schedule with one of our other locals, Brandon, who has played it a lot already.
We've got a Rent a Girlfriend.
Yep, Rental Girlfriend. We knocked out Mushoku early. And by the time we get through all those, Ruby will probably be out, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's only August. That's not out till December. So I guess we have some time.
It'll be Hololive next, probably.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Hololive's October,
yeah.
Hololive's October, so we will have that, or at least the TDs. I'm sure that'll be a whole thing we have to do.
Yeah.
But if you'd like to try this deck, yeah, we have all these links that we always put at the end, but the one I really want to talk about is Weiss Fight. If you want to try this deck out, you can hop on Weiss Fight. Just go to weissfight.net, grab this link from our description for the deck, and just jam it right in there and give it a try. Fate is a pretty expensive deck, so if you want to see how it is and you want to try it out, you can definitely hop on there and give it a look. There's a Discord if you're looking for games, if you want to maybe voice chat or just give feedback on the app to make it even better. And there's also a Patreon to support the app if you use it a lot. So definitely check that out. It will be in the description. And with that, I think we're done. Pittsburgh White Sports signing off. We'll see you guys in the next one.
See ya.